I think a lot of it is to slow down to the speed of life. Is that, we become, as you've heard, human doings rather than human beings. And so to slow down and to stop, look, and listen. So every day I stop and I look within and I listen. You got to stop, you got to look, you got to listen. And some would say that's part of meditation or prayer or solitude. But man, there's something about stopping, looking, and listening and finding that peace. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good things come from a peaceful place.
Tim Storey is an acclaimed author, speaker, life coach, helping people create the future they desire. He has inspired people from all walks of life, from entertainment legends to professional athletes, from executives to deprived children throughout the world. Tim has traveled to 75 countries and has spoken to millions of people. He often meets privately to counsel high-profile leaders in various industries. Tim has partnered with phenomenal organizations to spread love and hope. He was featured as a guest on Oprah's Super Soul Sunday, Steve Harvey TV, Grant Cardone's 10 Times Growth Con, and many more. Tim has authored multiple books, with the most recent, The Miracle Mentality. Tim provides a roadmap to transcend negative thinking and renew your mind, leading to a transformed life with bigger adventures, more opportunities, and deeper meaning. Okay, Tim Storey, my goodness, like I said, it is such an honor to share this space with you. You are truly remarkable, and I've studied so much of you, and I'm just blown away that I get to have this conversation and deliver such value to those listening today.
Well, thank you for even saying that, and what a privilege to talk to you today.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure many that will tune in have either heard your name or at least seen your books. But I would love people to know a little bit more about you. So if we could pull back the curtain to kind of share who Tim Storey is, and then what got you to this position to serve as many as you've served today to this point and achieving greatness in their lives and helping others.
I think I'd have to go back to my childhood, the origin of being raised in Compton, California. But Compton was good for us, Dr. Dre's from there, the Williams sisters, Kendrick Lamar. But the thing is that we were in a very cramped environment. We had 7 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. And it's not because we wanted to live that way. It's just that we were lower income at that point. But the reason I say good is because I remember that cramped, crowded, and confined did not feel good. I never complained about it, but I realized that my 3 sisters lived in one room, my parents in another room, and then me and my brother in the living room. And I thought, this is probably not normal. So that happened for a season of our lives. But I really think that was part of the fuel for me to say that that's not the way I'm going to stay. And so there's no doubt about it that I decided to do something about living in that cramped, confined, contained environment. And then I did.
I love that you mentioned that, because I think that was the catalyst to get you on this path to your own personal greatness, your own comeback and resilience and everything you've built in your life. So talking about that, I'm curious, for coming where you came from, how did you develop into the man you are today? Your strengths. I know you're known as the comeback king. So what has been your comeback personally in your life, the struggles that have gotten you the strength and resilience that you help others with?
I think that, number one, great question. I think that the first teacher was watching the struggles of other people. To see my mother work at Winchell's Donut Shop while she's raising 5 kids. But she did teach me a secret the other day. I asked her, I said, Mom, because my mom's 90 and super strong.
Nice.
I said, did you do the laundry for all 5 kids? And she goes, no, because I have, 4 older siblings. I'm the youngest. She goes, your sisters learned how to do laundry like at 9 years of age. So they were helping with everything. They were phenomenal at laundry, housework, dishes, and started cooking like super, super young.
Mm.
But I think in seeing the struggle of my mother working at Winchell's, my father working at Bethlehem Steel, and trying to make things work, I saw the resilience, I saw the discipline, and I think that began to grow something inside of me, this resilience that we can get through anything. So it started in observation, no doubt about it.
That's amazing that you had that awareness at a young age to see what was going on. And I think that's lovely that you bring that out, because I think for parents listening, we teach our kids at a very young age discipline, resilience, how to have confidence by doing these tasks. And I love that you pull that out, because I think that's really important for parents to know and recognize that we have such an imprint on our kids. So I would love if you could kind of touch on, because I know you went through a lot in your life and you had a recent discovery. I believe it was only 4 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, but where you thought all along your identity, you had a certain upbringing, your family
Yeah.
unit and whatnot, but you came to the realization through discovery that you had not necessarily the father you thought you had. If you could kind of touch on that. I know it's a deep story, but I know what I love about this, what you share, is the identity that was tied to that as well.
Yes. So I think that, like for me, we had 4 kids in a row, and my mother is Spanish, like from Spain. So her first language is Spanish, and she still speaks very broken English. And so the man who was my father was Spanish as well. Very attractive guy with green eyes. So the 4 kids come out looking like them with green eyes, and then I come out, cute and chocolate. So I was like, okay. Well, when I was 12, my aunt came to me and she says, I want to tell you something, that, your mother's not going to like this, but the man you think is your father is not your father. Your parents were separated, and your mother was with another man, a Black man, and that other man is not your father. Now, it's an interesting thing about my discipline, because I think most 12-year-olds would instantly go to their mother and talk to her about it.
Mm-hmm.
Never said a word.
Wow.
Never told my sisters, never told my brother. I just heard it. And I said, okay, now I get it. Because I didn't know why the person that I thought was my father would take the 4 kids and leave me at home all the time. He wasn't a bad man, but I think he still had an offense that the fact that my mother had this child from another man. Mm-hmm. So I remember the feeling, because Oprah Winfrey asked me in private what it felt like. It felt at times like I was living in a house that was like a cold garage, like I didn't fit in. And so that was very difficult to hear it, but now it started to make sense. So at 18, I came to my mother, and I was very mature at 18, and she denied it. I waited many, many years, came to her at 30 with the same story, and she denied it again. And I've never brought it up since. But the reality is that, I have a Spanish mother and a Black father, which I'm proud of. But I was raised in a Spanish culture. But it's an interesting thing about life, because I remember the first time my cousin, who's Spanish, was watching Soul Train. So I must have been about 8. And I was watching these people dance. And I thought, I bet I could do what they do. And so when I watched Soul Train on my own on Saturdays as an 8-year-old, whatever they did, I could do. I'm like, holy crap. Because my sisters and my brother can't dance, right?
That's funny.
Yeah, so I was really drawn to my culture, yet nobody told me what my culture was.
So I'm just curious when this did come about. And I just want to touch on this a little bit because I think it's really fascinating because I think a lot of us tie ourselves to an identity. And then we, for example, some people, for example, tie themselves to a career, like that's their identity. And knowing that or discovering that you now have that you're biracial, how did you shift your identity once you fully discovered that? Did it change something in you, or did it have you rediscovering parts of you that you maybe suppressed, not knowing that?
100%. But I did it in private again. And that's what's very interesting about how I was at that age. I mean, that shows a lot of maturity to be told
Absolutely
at a certain age and then not address your mother about it till you're 18 and then do it again at 30 and then never bring it up again.
Yeah.
And so for me, it now made sense. And I wanted to know more about my origin. Now, I didn't want to chase down the man that was my father, and I never have. But I wanted to know more about being a Black man and being a Black leader, because I knew that someday that's what was going to happen, and that's what did happen to my life.
Yeah.
You know, now I've been to 75 countries of the world. And I remember one time I was speaking in South Africa, and they said, Nelson Mandela is going to come to watch you speak because he likes what you're doing. And here he came with a big entourage sitting in the front row. So, you know, I became and am a Black leader. And so it was strange at that time as a young person, I knew that I needed to know more about my culture, not just the Latin side, but the African-American side.
That's great. I mean, I appreciate you sharing that because I just want people to recognize that sometimes knowing something, it changes something in us that we felt tied to, and to go deeper and discover maybe what those parts of us were or are, and not hide from it. So I think that's great. So knowing that you're the comeback king, I'm just out of curiosity, what do you feel is the biggest comeback you've had personally in your life? Like, what is something that set you back, but then you just, rised again and you had your comeback?
I would say that it would be definitely, we had 3 girls and then my brother, then me. My brother was a engineer at McDonnell Douglas, very smart, super handsome, Spanish, green eyes. And he had a problem with addiction, with alcohol addiction. But he was the type of alcoholic that he could be very good, like Monday to Friday, but Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, it's not going to be good. But then he could rise up and like function. And so, here I am. At that time, I'd already been working with Robert Downey, Charlie Sheen, on and on and on. And probably about 70 other people in addiction from Hollywood, 70, that many.
Wow. And
yet I could not get my brother on track. And even Robert Downey used to call him, and Charlie would call him Sheen. And at that time, Charlie was very sober for a 4-year period. And my brother, he passed. And the way he passed is that he would go up and down and up and down and up and down. His heart couldn't take it. And boom, he expired at only age 40. Man, that was difficult because, to be like Mr. Comeback, where all the top agents are sending their top entertainers to me to help. And for people to say like, man, Tim Storey, you're like, seems like 90% of people who come to you, like they really get their stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, those are high percentages, but it didn't happen for my own brother. So that was super, super difficult. You know, a lot of it in hindsight now is about his choices and him wanting to get better and him believing that he was worthy to get better because he walked in a lot of guilt and shame. But that was very difficult. So I walked in a lot of private pain about that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I think probably because you had the reputation that you had, that you wish you could have helped him the way you've helped others. But like you said, they're part of that equation too. So people have to want to rescue themselves as well. So talking about your book, which I'm so excited about, your book has been flying off the shelves, rightfully so. I think this is your 10th book. Am I correct?
Number 10 for such a young guy.
I know, no kidding. Yes. So your book, The Miracle Mentality. So I'm so excited to dive into this. I feel it's so essential for today's world because of course, last year, a lot of the chaos we went through. So if you could describe the definition of a miracle mentality.
You know, it's amazing. When I started working on this project for the Miracle Mentality, it was 5 years ago. Because I like the process of waiting. I wait about 5 years in between books because I really love to research. Then you have to find the right editor, this particular editor, and help me with some of the writing. He teaches at Princeton and he's brilliant. So this started 5 years ago. And what I started noticing in life is that little kids have a miracle mentality. It's innate. You ask little kids, what do you want to be when you get older? If they're like 5 or 6, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an athlete. I'm going to be a ballet dancer. It's always something like awesome.
Yes. And elaborate.
So, yeah, elaborate. So a miracle, as you know, is something extraordinary, unusual, uncommon, not regular. So I thought, man, so what's happened to people's miracle mentality? And how come people are now living such mundane lives? Like I know a lot of people that look amazing aesthetically, because I get to travel around beautiful people in all these countries I go to. But I would find that a lot of them were secretly living these mundane lives and telling me about it. That it just felt like they're just going through the motions. And then the mundane many times turned to the messy. And then the messy many times turned to madness. So I started writing these notes 5 years ago. And I said, man, if your life is mundane, messy, and madness, there's no room for like miracles. Like, where's a miracle even going to land? And I knew I was onto something.
Yeah.
And so that's what I teach about, is how to align yourself with that childlike faith that you had, that miracles still happen and that every day is a miracle. So that's what the book's about. And that's why the book is working. And thank you for saying that. But it really is working because people know that's who they are. So I'm just reminding them of the person that they are.
I love that you bring that up because I think that's the thing, is we're not aware of the state we're living in. I think so many people, especially I think mundane, that is definitely very common. And then, like you said, it moves into the other stages, and the awareness is preventing ourselves to, I mean, even just being in a mundane state is not, like you said, magical. It's not, I think we just get stagnant and we're not growing.
Yes.
And that's, life is growth, I believe. So how can we begin to notice when we are, let's say, living in the mundane and be able to, see growth or whatever it may be? How could we be aware of even that we're in this state?
Okay. You have really good questions. And
thank you.
I get interviewed by some good people. You're really good. So what happens is, wow, I'm loving that you're saying that sometimes when you're in the mundane, you don't even recognize it because you're now in this routine of the mundane. So in the book, I talk about the number one, you have to become awake. You have to wake up. And it's interesting that sometimes things that wake us up are interesting. It could be like COVID-19. And now you are quarantined and we're in a pandemic. And you're like, okay, what's going on in my life? So number one, become awake. Number two, you got to take inventory and say, like, what's really happened to my life? Am I still dreaming big dreams? Do I believe things are possible? If I got divorced, is that a stigma or a tag or a label that I think I got to carry my whole life? Or if negative things happen, do I have to carry those too? So number one, you become awake. Number two, you take inventory. Number three, you have to partner with the right people. And that is so important. And I think during COVID, a lot of people realized they were not partnered with the right people. But sometimes you have to rearrange your partners and partner with power. So become awake, take inventory, partner with the right people. Then I'll give you one more. Then you have to get the right principles in your life, the right principles, and really go back to principles that will work in your life. Get back into alignment, whether that's spirituality, meditation, whether that's getting back to health and nutrition, and getting back to your principles. And then let me add this last one. Out of the principles will come the plan. So when I life coach people, they always want to get right to the plan. I go, no, let's get to the principles and watch the plan just start popping out.
I love that. I think everybody should write that down, those 4 things. So
Yeah.
of course, the awareness or taking inventory,
Yes.
awareness, taking inventory, and partnering with the right people, and then your principles.
Principles, right.
So good. I think, I don't know if you've heard of this process. I'm sure you have, the wheel of life.
100%. Dennis Waitley was one of the first ones who created this.
It's such a great exercise to do, is taking inventory of all those, I believe it's 7 areas of your life, the most important: your relationships, your family, your faith, your career, and so on. And that's when you get to see where you're at. And then you get to decide where you want to go and closing that gap. I think that's so important. And the principles, which can be also known as your values, is getting in touch to like what's important to you. And I think that's the blessing that came out of COVID quarantine, is that we were able to have the time, which so many people lack, because we're in this cycle of the doing, instead of the being. And so we're not aware of really what's going on. So slowing down is when we get to do these exercises and really get deep onto what matters and where we want to go.
No doubt about it. And the beautiful thing is that today's decisions are tomorrow's realities. So if something has not been working for you, let's change it. Let's become awake. Let's take inventory. Let's partner with the right people. Let's get the right principles. And then the plan will start to unfold. And that's what I love about coaching people still. Like, I'm involved in a lot of projects, but I will always do the coaching because I learn from the coaching as well. I get to coach like amazing minds. And I find that someone can be in a really bad situation and 3 months later, everything's shifted. But it's about the choices that one makes, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. And what would you say makes mundane turn negative?
Okay, so mundane with a pinch is important. So what I mean by that is, like, for some reason, I've been watching these cooking shows. I guess maybe I'm going to learn to cook.
I love these cooking shows.
But, part of what they do is like just a pinch or just a dab. Okay. We all have to have a pinch or a dab of the mundane in our lives every day. Like, for instance, when it's trash day at my house, I'm not in the mood. I have 3 trash bins. I got to carry them. I put them there, right?
Right.
I'm not always in the mood to like do these chores I have to do or take my clothes to the cleaners, or some things that I choose to do. Okay. But that's mundane. But you can master the mundane. you can master it to where that's just a pinch of your life. I think what people do is they let the mundane just start seeping into all these areas of their life. And their children become almost like part of the mundane, or their relationship starts to become part of the mundane. So I think you have to make room for the magic. And in the book, The Miracle Mentality, I talk about miracle parenting, okay? Miracles in your finances, miracles in your job. But I think there's no doubt about it. You have to make room for the miraculous. And if I could just say this, it'll take me 30 seconds. Little kids, when they wake up, studies have been done, they get up thinking, can I play? They don't wake up thinking, can I kick back? They get up thinking, can I play? Yes, but now you're in kindergarten, but you can play for a little while, but then you got to go to school. But then can I play? Okay, yeah, you can play, but then you got to eat. But then can I play? They got play. And so I've done a lot of research on this. Part of it is they like their imagination to go. That's why they like building blocks, Legos when they're kids, or if a girl's got Barbies, she wants to build the house real big. And I think as adults, we have to make time for play. Absolutely. To break out of the mundane and make time to play and let our imaginations just go.
I love that you share that. And I witnessed that of my boyfriend's daughter, which is 11. We'll be talking, we're having a conversation. And then suddenly we look at her and she's like, oh, I was just thinking, I was dreaming this. And
you see?
Yeah. And I remember before COVID happened, we went to Knott's Berry Farm and I felt so youthful, so free, so like playful, just by being in that environment and letting myself just play and enjoy the rides and do all the games and whatnot. And I think that's important, that bring out the youthfulness often in you, because I think we can lose it by doing all the tasks,
Yes. And if I can go somewhere on that same subject, Walt Disney, he walked into an amusement park in the 1930s with one of his male friends. And he said, someday I'm going to build my own, but mine's going to be different, better, and more magical. So it's kind of cool that he saw an amusement park, but he said, I like this, but it's not where I'm going to do with mine. Mine's going to be different, better, and more magical. And I think that that's what's in all of us, different, better, and more magical. I think magical is what we were made to do. We were made to create magical projects, live magical lives, have magical children.
Yeah,
yes.
I completely agree, as we should. So how do we avoid getting from the mundane and then moving to the messy and then of course the madness? How do we ensure we don't get to that point?
Yes, so part of it's going to seep in, because you could be Oprah Winfrey and your life's going perfect, but a life interruption is going to hit all of us. So life interruption may be an illness. It may be something happened to your mother, your father, your family, a relationship that you thought was going to work that did not work. So it's more about when the life interruption happens, what do you do? And so Mike Tyson is somebody that I know. And it's interesting that Mike Tyson never lost one fight by what they call decision. It was never the end of the fight. And then they said, and the winner is somebody else. The only way Mike Tyson lost is he got hit, fell down, did not know how to get back up, because he was so built to just fight and win. He did not know how to get back up. I find that with most people that I coach, they do not know how to get back up.
Yeah.
So when a life interruption hits them, a breakup, an illness, COVID-19, most people don't know how to get back up. So they do, as I say, they sit in their setback, they settle in their setback, and many people cement themselves in a setback. Think about that.
Yeah, very true.
And we both know people that something happened and they're still talking about the guy a long time ago, or the woman, right?
Yeah.
Or I was so close and then this didn't happen. Then, so and so got the part and I should have. And, we have to realize that setbacks happen. And it goes back to those points again. You become awake, take inventory, partner with the right people, the right principles, the right plan. But then I'm going to add another one now. You got to be persistent. That's what you have. That's what I have.
Oh,
I could
discipline
read
is
that
everything.
in you. I can read that in you. You're persistent. And I think that one reason that you are where you are right now and doing what you're doing and helping to change people's lives is because you've been through your own pain, but you're persistent and continue to be persistent. And truly, persistence breaks resistance. You'll get through.
I love that. Yeah. Why do you think there's people that don't know how to rise with adversity? Like, why are there some people that are so persistent and, have the ability to rise, and then some are so stuck?
So if I could just go there for a minute, because my doctorate is in world religion. And so there's a scripture in Proverbs that says, unrelenting disappointment can leave you heartsick. So it's very interesting because everything comes from the heart. Joy, peace, courage, faith, even magical thoughts, compassion from the heart. So when somebody's disappointed means something did not work. So I've done a lot of studying and research on disappointment. Thought I was going to get the job, did not work. Put all this money in this company, did not work. Was married 19 years, then it did not work. I'm just telling people stories. Yeah. So unrelenting disappointment can leave you heart sick. The word sick means you're fading. You're fading in your center. Wow. So disappointment can cause you to fade in your center. But then that same scripture says, but a sudden good break can turn your life around. So what I teach is that many times we get so caught up in what happened to us, the disappointment, that we miss the fact that miracles are all around us. We're missing the miracles because we're so caught up in the disappointment.
Yeah.
That's powerful, right?
Absolutely. And actually, I know you mentioned this in the book about being trapped or stalled. That's what commonly people say. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So I think, trapped is to be locked, to be fixed, to be solidified. It's almost like a bear trap. Boom. I'm trapped. Okay. Trapped is a tough one because trapped is going to take sometimes the jaws of life to get you out of the vehicle or to pull the bear trap off you, the trapped. I think many times people were stalled and then they became trapped because they did not deal with them being stalled. The stall is the delay, the distraction, the detour. So delays, distractions, and detours are just going to happen. So don't get so caught up in the fact that you got stalled. Make the best of your delays. Why am I delayed? What can I learn from this delay? What can I learn from this challenge? What can I learn from this failure? Because if you don't learn from it, you're going to go from stalled to trapped.
And I completely believe life is meant to teach us lessons, and we will keep getting the lesson until we learn it. And 100%. That's when we get trapped. And then people, I assume, come to you when they're trapped.
Yes. A lot of them. So, but that's been a compliment. But, like in the world of entertainers, I was never looking to be life coach to the stars. That just kind of happened. I started working with older stars that are legends. And then I would work with their kids. And then managers and agents were like, that little rascal's good. So I have a gift. I think that my secret gift is if somebody's life is in a knot, I'm pretty hard to beat.
That's great.
I can really help untie people.
That's amazing. Just out of curiosity, do you seek a life coach yourself? Because it's hard when you're helping so many people. Do you feel kind of your energy is drained a little bit from that? I'm curious, and you personally, does it affect you where you feel like sometimes you need to talk to somebody as well?
Yes, I have 2 therapists, and I say the reason is in case one of them's off.
That's funny.
So,
That's great.
so I have been able to maintain a pretty steady life. A lot of it is just my mindset.
Mhm.
But I continue to see 2 therapists that are older than me. They're in their 70s. One was 81.
Mm.
And the reason for that is I want to continue on the right path. So I think that because I stay in a place of maintenance, that I don't find myself being so depleted. And then the other thing is I have amazing friends. So I'm like you, I believe you reap what you sow.
Mm.
And, I'm really good, like even to my male friends. I'm one of the few male friends that they have, even if they're like real, like macho guys, that I sometimes will send them an emoji and throw them off. Like, what?
Like a heart emoji.
Why'd you send me a heart or a sun? No, because it's going to be a good day.
Funny.
But I sow kindness into really amazing men. And so I have amazing men in my life and amazing women in my life that are, friends of mine that are constantly pouring into me. So I've been very, very fortunate in that area that people want to give to me.
Yeah, and what a blessing. Well, for the people that are listening that feel like they don't have their community and they are seeking to partner with the right people, possibly mentors as yourself, how do you suggest somebody starts that journey in finding their right people and partnering with the right people?
That's a great question. And that's why I'm very careful in the way I say it. So it's almost like, bragging that I have a certain type of car, like I have this many friends, but I think there's a lot of lonely people out there. But I do believe that the way the world is going today, that we really don't have to stay that way. There's a lot of communities that we can step into, that if you look at even something like Clubhouse, people look at, they say, is it positive or is it negative? I've seen a lot of positive things because there's groups that talk about divorce recovery. There's groups that talk about loneliness. There's groups that talk about addiction. So whether groups like that are your temple, your mosque, your synagogue, your church, there's a lot of ways to connect with people. And how about this nowadays? I mean, look at you. You got a podcast.
Mhm.
So we can connect with your podcast and we can learn from all the different guests and feel like a connection and a sense of community, because I've been studying you. And that's what you're creating. You're creating a sense of community for people. So I'm glad you're doing that. And thank you for doing that, because you're creating a sense of community where we can, grow, learn, and thrive.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's such a beautiful space. And I'm so honored, like I said, to speak with amazing guests as yourself so we could serve more people and in a broader scope. So it's amazing. Thank you. So another question I have. So let's say we're in the messy or the madness. Let's hope we're not in the madness, but how do we pull it
Yeah.
back?
I think that the madness is going to hit sometimes. It could be you're a parent and you get a call at 3 a.m. and you're like, oh man, like my daughter's in trouble or my son's in trouble or something happened to my sister. That's just life. So the wild thing about my life is I get in the lives of people that most people look up to. Okay. Whether they be designers or actors or singers or politicians or whatever. So I see behind the scenes that everybody has madness just fly at him. Okay. So I think the key, you're going to like this, is you don't have to become dramatic in the midst of the drama.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
So just because drama hits doesn't mean you have to be dramatic in the midst of the drama. It doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, my son,
Yeah.
he got in a fight. He was at a restaurant. He was drinking too much. Okay, let's bring it down. I mean, he doesn't do this every weekend. Let's figure it out. So we make a choice that when the madness hits, play it down. Don't get dramatic in the midst of the drama. I promise you, I don't. Smokey Robinson says about me, he says, Tim Storey has smooth jazz playing in his mind at all times.
I can see that.
I hear drama every day. My life is filled with 911 calls.
Wow.
Tim, he's about to be on TMZ if you don't call. Okay, let's play it down. I'll call Harvey Levin and let's try to sort it out. So, bring it down. Don't get dramatic in the midst of the drama and find your way through it, right?
Yes, exactly. And you know how a lot of people will get stuck in this cycle of this negative mindset, but how about being stuck in this positive loop mindset? How could we start to, shift into that? Like, do you recommend anything, any tools, principles, anything to get us to move more into the positive mindset?
There's a book called The Miracle Mentality.
Yeah, there you go.
Tim Storey.
Awesome. That's true.
Yeah. So here's what we do. We got to go from believing in miracles to expecting miracles. Okay. See, we got to expect. If you order something from Amazon and you say to your boyfriend, babe, I did it one day. It's going to be here tomorrow. What's going to happen? You're going to open the door tomorrow, the next day, watch. Where is it? Right? So we got to believe, we got to expect. I think a lot of people believe, but they don't expect. So powerful. Believe in miracles, expect miracles, receive miracles. Some people think they're unworthy to receive miracles. Like, oh, if you only knew. If you knew what I've been through. If you knew what's happened in my past. So believe, expect, receive, and then you become a miracle. So you become a miracle. So now you're a walking miracle. I mean, look at what you've gone through in your life. I don't know your whole story, but I've been through things, you've been through things. So we've become a miracle. And then we become miracle releasers. So you believe, expect, receive, become, and then you release.
Beautiful. And that's when you start to serve the world.
Oh my God.
So great. Yes.
Come on, please. Are you kidding me?
Yes, we are.
I'm just sitting, I'm at a hotel right now. So the person that brought me room service this morning stopped and went, oh, and then they said SHIT. I go, what happened? Oh my God, you don't know how much I love you. Oh,
that's great.
Oh my gosh, seriously, I saw you speak at this seminar. Oh, this is weird. Okay, so I didn't know I was going to be little Timmy from Compton. And then now I'm over here hiding in a hotel in Laguna Beach and the room service person's going to get excited. So that's because I became a miracle releaser.
Actually, I wanted to ask you this. What was the reason you became a life coach? Like, what called you to this path?
I think that some things you decide, some things you discover. It was never a decision. I was a high school athlete and I'm good in sports. And my junior year in high school, a girl was reading a book on the life of Mother Teresa. I said, what's that? She goes, I think you would like this. I read the book and I got changed. And I said, I want part of my life to be serving people, being a humanitarian. So I decided not to go to USC, which I was all set up to go there. And I decided to go to seminary, not to be like a priest or a speaker, but to be a humanitarian. And so I think sometimes you decide some things you discover. And my discovery started with reading the book about Mother Teresa.
Mm,
So now I've become like a hip Mother Teresa.
definitely. Yes. And then another thing I was wondering, since you're a faith-based man, I'm curious for somebody that develops their mindset in this miracle mentality,
Yeah.
do you feel if they're not really in touch with their spiritual side that there's going to be a missing component?
I think that um, religion and spirituality is not like a prerequisite to the miracle mentality, but I think it enhances the idea of miracles, the supernatural, the unseen world. Because I work with a lot of people who are not into spirituality of any sort, any form of religion, and they won't even meditate. But yet they have created a miracle mentality. But I think that the spirituality side of it is aligning you with the creative one who created us. That's how I see it. But if someone comes from another perspective, I think they could find their own way to have a better mindset. But I do believe to align with your creator and to have that type of juice coming through you from the source makes you pretty magical. Yeah, like a
Yeah.
lot of the people that I work with, like Oprah Winfrey, that's a magical lady. And
Oh gosh, yes.
for any of you guys that have been around her, I mean, it could be late at night and you're just talking in her backyard. She just got an aura coming from her, but she connects it. She says it's a source coming through her.
Absolutely. And you could see it, you witness it. Yeah.
Yeah,
She gets in that flow state of being just so spiritually connected to her creator. At least that's what I would know.
100%. So I think that's like the better way to say it, and that's kind of like where this generation is coming from. I think a lot of people, have taken off tags of religion, but we're talking about more about connecting to the creator.
Yeah. And for somebody that wants that spiritual connection, what would you suggest for them? Like if you were to say, like, if you're looking for more spiritual depth, where would you guide them? Not necessarily a specific religion, but just in
Yeah,
a spiritual connection.
I think a lot of it is to slow down to the speed of life. Is that, we become, as you've heard, human doings rather than human beings. And so to slow down and to stop, look, and listen. So every day I stop and I look within and I listen. You got to stop, you got to look, you got to listen. And some would say that's part of meditation or prayer or solitude. But man, there's something about stopping, looking, and listening and finding that peace. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good things come from a peaceful place.
Oh, I love how you say that. It's so perfectly said because it's so true. And thankful for the time we had to actually stop and like look and listen to what's going on.
Yes.
And not necessarily listening to the news, but actually looking within and checking in, taking that inventory is so important. I love that you share one part of the book that I want to pull out. And this was, I believe, in relationships. It was the chapter on relationships where you said, from a biblical standpoint, that our priorities from family should be clear. And that is God first, your spouse, your kids, your job fourth. But so
Yeah.
often that is miscued. Like there's certain people that are like, careers first and then kids. And then, so what do you have to say to that? Because I think that's so important because I think that's where I think life gets a little thrown off course.
Yeah. So again, I'm known as not being the preachy guy. Like, I've done an event in Beverly Hills since 1992 that's always standing room only. And it draws all people from all faiths and all walks of life because I'm not the preachy guy. But what I have found is that if you want to reorder your disorder, see, I like to play on words.
Yes.
If you want to reorder your disorder, we got to get our priorities in line. So I find that if you put God first, the source, okay, and then your family second, and then your job third, things just work a lot better. Like I got a lot going on right now, but I'm good with some projects that don't work. Like I've had amazing like things that look like, oh my God, you're the next so and so, and then it didn't happen. But I was able to work through that because my priorities are like God first, my family second, my career third. So I don't wake up like I'm on my grind
Yeah.
because I'm gonna get my third Lamborghini. That's
Yeah.
not me. I'm like I'm really into like what is my assignment? What is it? What is God equipping me to do? What am I supposed to do to change this world and make it a better place? It's a good place to be. Very peaceful place to be.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And I have so many more questions I would love to ask you, but I so want to honor your time. And I want people to grab the Miracle Mentality book. Like I said, it's blowing off the shelves, but of course it's available. You could get it in all places and learn more about you on your website. Would that be the best place, or your Instagram? I know you share lots of goodness there.
Yeah, and thanks for that. So the book is The Miracle Mentality. You can get it on Amazon, and you could also do Audible because it's my voice. And for some people,
Amazing.
they like the way my voice sounds. And so a lot of people are doing Audible, but you can get that book, but get it for a friend as well, because all of us know somebody needs a life lift, and this book will lift somebody's life up. And so you can go to timstorey.com, and you guys will put that in the information.
Yes.
So TIMSTOREY. And then, yeah, Instagram, I like to do fun things.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So just in closure, I would love to ask you, if you were to share one piece of advice that you feel somebody needs to hear right now, that person that is just feeling lost, uncertain, afraid, fearful, whatever it may be, what would be one piece of advice you could leave with them?
Okay. So I'm thinking this through because it's important. There's a game called poker that they play. And if you don't like your cards, you're allowed to fold. So you put your cards on the table and you say, I fold. So I'm done with this hand. I fold. And so I want to say to you, don't fold while you're still unfolding.
Mm.
That some of you feel disappointed in things that did not work in your life. Don't fold while you're still unfolding. Whether it's breaking addiction, breaking habits that have been there forever, getting through a difficult relationship, trying to fight through an illness, don't fold because you're still unfolding.
Mm.
So your life is unfolding, and just around the corner, more magical, miraculous moments are there. So do not fold because you're still unfolding.
Beautiful. I love that. And that's so true. Like once we get out of the messy, the madness, there's such magic on the other side that we have the ability to recreate in our life. Because every day we have a choice. I love that word, choice, because it's so
Yeah.
powerful. We get to choose a new life every day. And it's really just taking the action, taking inventory, and aligning ourselves with the right people, finding mentors, all the goodness. There's so many resources. So, yes, I love that. We are always unfolding into our greatness. So, Tim Storey, like I said, I am so honored to have you on. You are wonderful. You are such a light. And thank you for your gift. You're serving the world because you're impacting so many. I am just so happy to share this with everybody.
What a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you.